All right, let's get into it. Today, we are tackling a huge question, one that gets to the very heart of who we are. And we're going to use Hector Malot's novel Conscience as our guide. See, we all think we know what a conscience is, but what if everything we think we know is completely wrong? Let's dive in.
So let me just ask you, straight up, that little voice in your head, the one that nudges you about right and wrong, do you trust it? I mean, really trust it? Is it some perfect moral compass? Or could it be kind of broken? We're about to put that whole idea to the test.
And boom, here it is. This is the core idea from our text, and it's a disruptive one. Forget about conscience being some finely tuned instrument for morality. The argument here is that it's clumsy, it's biased. Basically, it's a terrible tool for judging our actions. This one sentence just sets the stage for a completely radical way of looking at the world.
Okay, section 1, the bad weighing machine. Now, to really get this philosophy, we first have to take apart the very thing it wants to replace. So in this first part, we're going to deconstruct the traditional idea of conscience and see what this text argues it's really made of.
So you've got two totally different ideas clashing right here. On one side, you have the common belief, the one we've heard for centuries, that we are born with some kind of internal, maybe even divine, moral compass. But on the other side, you have the book's argument, that our conscience isn't born with us at all. It's built, piece by piece, from the outside world.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. From this point of view, your sense of right and wrong isn't you tapping into some universal truth. Nope, it's just a recording, a playback of what your parents, your teachers, your entire society has told you is right and wrong. It's not a guide to morality, it's just a reflection of where you grew up.
You know, this leads to a really big, kind of scary question. If our internal compass is broken, if it's just a program someone else installed, then what's supposed to guide us? If you throw out all the old rules, what do you replace them with?
Which brings us to section 2, the philosophy of force. See, the text doesn't just tear down the old system and leave a vacuum. It actually proposes a replacement. It argues that in a world without an innate conscience, something else rises to the top. And that something is the philosophy of force.
This is really the first pillar of this whole worldview. It's all about a kind of radical self-reliance. Depending on other people, on society, even on what they think of you, all of that is seen as a weakness. Real strength, this philosophy says, is found in being completely and totally on your own. And here is the brutal final conclusion. In a universe where your inner morality is just a social construct, what's actually left? What's real? Well, according to this philosophy, the only thing that truly matters, the only thing that decides outcomes, is power, force. It is literally the last word.
So what this really means is that the entire moral landscape gets redrawn. The old words, good, evil, right, wrong, they're just thrown out the window. All that matters now is what's in your own self-interest and what you have the strength to take. It's a really stark, really uncompromising way to see the world.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Because this philosophy of absolute freedom through strength, it has a deeply ironic twist. As we're about to see, breaking free from the rules of conscience doesn't actually make you free. In fact, it can lock you up in a whole new kind of prison. The logic kind of goes like this. Remorse, that feeling of guilt, it's just an emotional glitch, right? It's a ghost from that bad weighing machine. So a truly intelligent, a truly strong person, they should be able to just reason their way past it. They should see guilt as a weakness you overcome, not a signal you should listen to. And this is the tragic path it lays out. It all starts with one act, that first crime. Then comes the second and most critical step, the mental gymnastics to kill off any feeling of remorse. But that very act of shutting down your feelings, it leads you right into an inescapable trap. It creates a prison of your own making.
And here it is, the ultimate paradox. In the attempt to become the master of your own fate, free from any moral rules, the character becomes a slave to his own actions. The crime isn't something that happens and is over. It becomes his new reality. It boxes him in tighter than any social rule ever could. He's not a free man, he's a prisoner, forever chained to what he did.
So you might be thinking, okay, that's a dark, philosophical idea from some 19th century novel. Why should I care about it today? Well, as we're about to see, these ideas are anything but ancient history. They echo really loudly in our world right now.
I mean, just think about it. We are still debating whether morality is universal or if it's all relative. Psychologists spend their careers studying how we rationalize bad behavior. In a world where fewer people believe in divine judgment, we're struggling to define what consequences even mean. And every day, we try to figure out where the line is between admirable strength and just plain old ruthlessness. These aren't dusty old questions, they're right at the heart of the debates shaping our lives today.
Which brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. The story says the character was a prisoner of his crime. But was he? Or was he really a prisoner of the philosophy, the idea that told him he could get away with it, that there would be no internal cost? It's a question worth chewing on. Which cage is stronger, the one made from the things we've done, or the one forged by the ideas we choose to believe?
This is for entertainment and educational purposes only.